Welcome to Forensic Friday.
Where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all.
Can you imagine if we didn't record? If we
No,
forgot to hit record?
I think at this point we'd both cry if that happened
I
because
think so.
we both have way too much on our plates.
Yes.
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 And we have each other's things on our plates too. Like
Like
you're getting
that.
ready for baby,
I know.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be fine. You want me to be fine. It's just a whole thing. It's a lot of pressure.
I know. I'm gonna go through my client list and start passing them off.
I think that's smart. I do. There's just not much more room for baby, dude. Like, I don't know how much longer you're going to be pregnant. You may go the whole way, but I'm not sure.
I know. I hope I do because I don't want to miss Arliss's baby shower.
No, you don't want to miss that. Maybe like the next day. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go have the baby then.
We're good.
Okay, so I was thinking the other night when we were in group and we were talking about intergenerational violence,
Uh-huh.
and we got the response we always get in group, which is what? What do they always say? When we say, hey guys, physical discipline is not an effective way to discipline your kids. What do they always say?
They're like, we were always spanked and we turned out okay.
We turned out okay. And kids today
Kids
don't have any,
today are,
they just
yes.
need to get smacked around, right? This is the
Yes.
shit that we hear.
Like parents don't spank anymore, and we're like, yeah.
Yes. So Garrett texted me today because I came home and I didn't tell him details, of course, but I just said, Garrett, like, Garrett grew up in an abusive home with an abusive stepfather.
Yeah.
And so these are things we talked a lot about before we got married and everything else. We've never disciplined my kiddo physically ever.
Right.
And he's turning out just fine if I do say so myself. But we have boundaries. So Garrett this morning sent me this text and it's kind of low-key hilarious, but he's been telling me to do this for a mini.
Mm-hmm.
So he sent me this text and he said, you guys need to talk about the myth of corporal punishment. Quote, I was hit as a kid and I turned out fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, sir, you're here because you choked your girlfriend for getting your order wrong at Wendy's, which is funny. It's not funny, but it is funny.
Yeah, it's not funny because it happens, but it is funny because
It's so
true.
nailed it. Like that is
Right. It's
kind
just
of
true.
situation. It's not specific, but it's the kind of thing we deal with.
Yes.
And so I was thinking about that, and you and I have talked so much about this. Nat and I ran a parenting group for a while together with drug
Mhm.
court. I've run parenting group on and off for years, so
Oh,
have
yes.
you.
Same, yeah.
And
That
we
was like my one Friday group when I worked at the last place we worked at.
yes. And I really have loved it. I mean, I think universally the clients that we have in parenting group are that is the only part of their treatment that they're usually really invested in, even in the beginning,
Yep.
because they love their kids. I've never had a client come in and go, I don't love my kid. That has never happened.
Right.
So,
I did have one person one time. I have to
yeah.
tell you this because it
Oh,
it
no.
kind of leads us into our full that we're doing.
Yeah.
I did have someone, and I obviously won't say a lot.
Mm-mm.
I had someone who was of a certain type of religion
Mm.
and similar to the case we're going to do.
Okay.
And that person, I questioned if they really cared for their kids, to
Mm.
be
But did
honest.
they say they did?
Um, it was a long time ago. They never really said if like they weren't like, "Oh, I hate my kids," but when I would talk to them about the reason they were having to do parenting group, it was like, "Well, I didn't." It was basically, I didn't do anything wrong.
Well, I think sometimes people are kind of desensitized to being a parent because maybe their kids have come and gone a lot. And so they're
Mhm.
sort of disconnected. And then
Hmm.
I think sometimes people have shame. There probably are parents who just aren't real happy to be parents,
No, to be honest, I think that was this human.
but it's rare. Wouldn't you say it's
It
rare?
is it is rare, but I'm
It
telling
is
you,
rare.
I met one and I remember this person distinctly because I remember thinking, why are you a parent?
Oh, well, and then this reminds me of the whole trapping conversation. Nat's been with me in group 1 million times when someone has said, well, she trapped me. She wanted to get pregnant.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I say, sir, did the condom break? And they always look at me like I have three heads. And I'm like, listen, I know what happened there. It wasn't a broken condom.
Mm-mm.
You wanted to be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not preventing, you're trying.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. That's where we are.
Or they'll say, well, I thought they're on birth control. I'm like, did you ask? Well, no, I just figured that they were on birth control.
And by the way, if you don't want a kid that bad,
It's
condom.
and here's the thing, it's a
Take
lot
responsibility.
easier. It's pretty easy not to have a kid.
Yes.
I did it for almost 7 years of my marriage,
Yeah,
purposefully.
100%. I know.
So,
I know it.
just saying.
Mm. So, our groups, when I'm talking about the groups where people say kids today, blah, blah, blah,
Hmm.
sometimes it's a parenting group. More often, it's a domestic violence group or some other kind of group. It is kind of this belief system with boomers, Gen Xers, not a lot of millennials, maybe the older millennials where it's like kids today just need a we just need to smack them. Like they don't have a healthy fear of anything, right?
Hmm.
So what I want to do today is with you, Nat, kind of debunk this myth that kids should fear us to behave well because it's just not a good model.
Right. I agree with that.
And I'm bringing the science, people, because I'm tired of having this fight. I'm gonna
We
bring the
love
science.
science.
And whenever our clients fight with us, Nat, I'm just gonna be like, here's a podcast episode I really think you should look into because I cannot keep having this fight over and over again.
No, no.
Nat and I's current intervention is raise your hand if you were punished physically as a child, whether you thought it was abusive or not. Every hand
Mhm.
raises up, it is universal. This is true in our parenting groups. It's
Yep.
true in 99% of the folks that we have in domestic violence.
Yep.
So it's just, and that is a humbling moment. It just
Yes.
is. And we
Yes.
do it all the time, about every
Well,
6 months.
and here's the other thing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I don't love spanking, but I there's two different types.
Yes. I will tell you neither one works, but go ahead.
No, no. Like
But you're right. It's different.
neither one
There's
is
some
like the
differences.
most effective, but
Right.
one way, the quote unquote, the air quote
Hmm.
right way
Yeah.
is zero pain.
Yes.
It's to surprise your kid. It's to like kind of shock their system a little bit.
Get their attention
Yes.
and really show them if you can't explain why something is dangerous.
Yes.
Right?
The other way, which I would say is most of our people that we've worked with, is they'll say, "Oh, we had to go pick our own sticks," or "Yeah, the belt," or whatever. That's abuse
And done in anger. And done
and
in
done
anger.
in anger.
Yes.
Yes.
I will say I don't know many parents who spank not angry, just to be real. And, I grew up in the Midwest where they have, the wooden spoon or a threat of a wooden spoon, or
Yeah.
they have like just weird stuff like that, right? I mean,
Yep.
that's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
My parents really did not physically discipline us very often, but when we were really, really little, I got spanked maybe twice. Eric probably more because Eric got in trouble more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, it didn't devastate me as a human, but
No.
I'm going to explain today with Natalie why it is literally, number one, nonsensical, which I'll explain to you. And also, it is just scientifically not the best way to discipline your child, period. We
Yeah.
know this now. And some people go, oh, Colorado is such a pansy state. You can't even really discipline your kids. That's not true. In the
Mm-mm.
state of Colorado, corporal punishment is legal. However, if you leave marks, if your child is afraid of you, things like that, then it starts to cross over into abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But you are technically allowed to use corporal punishment at home,
Yeah.
not at school anymore. They used to do in school,
No,
but
yeah.
yeah, at home. They're allowed to do it.
Unless you go to a Catholic school, I bet they still allow that.
Maybe they do.
I'm kind of kidding. I don't know.
I don't know though, because I know some of those schools, they don't have different laws though. See, this is the thing. They don't have
Mm.
different laws.
Yeah, but they get away with stuff that other places don't
Of course they do.
because people don't tell on them.
That's what's a little bit scary.
Hmm.
A little, a lot bit scary.
Yep.
So I want to tell you about social learning theory. This is one of the first things they teach you in your undergrad psychology class, like Psych 101.
Perfect.
Albert Bandura, do you remember him with the Bobo dolls? Bam, 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 bam.
Yes. Yes.
Social learning theory says we learn mostly by observing, particularly people in power, but even our peers to a degree, and it's all through modeling.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of research and a lot of thought behind this for a very long time that the best way to teach and instill values in your children or in anyone is to model the behavior that you want to see.
Hmm.
The flip side of that is if you model unhealthy or negative behaviors, they are going to mirror and absorb those behaviors, right?
Hmm.
One of the things that really frustrates kids is hypocrisy.
Yes.
Right? So you tell a kid, get off your phone, and then you're sitting there on your phone all through dinner, right? Like
Yep.
that kind of
Yep.
stuff just grates on a kid. And the older they get, the more it irritates them. You can, maybe with a 7-year-old say, you know what? I'm the mom. I do what I want. And
Right.
it's not like I've never said that to my son. Okay. My son,
Sure.
my son calls me out like it's his job. Okay. But the truth is, if I do that long enough, I'm teaching him, number one, some very weird things about power and control
Hmm.
that will follow him. But
Hmm.
also, I'm just not doing what I said I was going to do, which is damaging trust with my kid.
Well, I mean, you and I hear you tell me not to hit, but then you spank me.
100%.
Like that kind of thing.
That's
I'm
the
trying to
most
think.
obvious thing, though. It's like we teach kids
Hmm.
don't hit. If a kid hits another kid, you get a call from the teacher. So what
Hmm.
do? Bring your kid home and hit them for hitting another kid?
Right.
It gets real confusing real fast. The wheels
Super
come off,
confusing. Yes.
right?
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm even thinking of my own upbringing. My dad, I'll stick with my dad. My mom probably fell into this when she was working.
Yeah.
She's like technically retired and works with my dad. But it's like, I'll be on calls all day when I go up to Summit and I'll
Yeah.
be on Zoom all day. And my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, you work too much."
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, the person I learned that from is dad. He's a
100%.
workaholic. He's almost 80 and he still works full time.
Oh, my dad told me the same thing a couple weeks ago. He goes,
Yeah,
Jim, I just wish you didn't have to work quite so much. And I was like, pot kettle, man. You are
dude.
69 years old and working harder than anybody I know.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
we absolutely emulate our parents.
Yes.
But the hitting thing, the reason this really is hard for me as a domestic violence therapist, and you and I've talked about a lot, it's so intergenerational. My
Mm-hmm.
parents hit me, now I hit my kid, now
Mm-hmm.
my kid's at school hitting somebody else's kid, right?
Hmm.
It just is going to get passed down behaviorally from
Yeah.
one generation to another. There's no reason to hit your kid. You do not have to hit your kid, period. You really don't, ever, for any reason.
I'm gonna be honest. Like we were spanked. Like you said, Mason was probably spanked more than I was, but
Mhm.
I don't remember. I don't really ever remember like the specific times that that happened. But I can't sit here and say that it was like world changing and I learned my lesson.
No.
You know?
Listen, the last time I got spanked, it's because Eric was messing with me, and I think he was like 6, maybe
Okay.
5 or 6, and he was just messing with me, and he like put his hand in my mouth or something, like he was like messing with my
Oh,
face.
I would smack him.
I bit him.
Oh, well, of course you did.
I
I would
bit
have
him.
been too.
I bit him. So I got spanked. Okay. I'm gonna tell you as I sit here, as
That's
a
so
40-year-old
funny.
woman, I'd bite him again. If
Oh,
you
I
set
would have too.
a boundary, bro, you keep doing it, natural consequence.
The consequence matches the offense. You put your hand in my mouth, you're gonna get bit.
You're gonna get bit, and you know what? If you do that anywhere else, you're gonna get bit too.
Exactly. You do that to an animal?
Oh my God, you're gonna get bit.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
But that was the last spanking I ever got. Clearly a life changer,
I
right?
know. Well, and here's the thing, and I'm sorry if you're going to get here, but
Hmm.
when we approach discipline as in a way that is like corporal punishment
Yes.
or the consequence doesn't match the offense, you're just going to get better at hiding the thing.
Oh, yes. And the relationship, the child is less likely to confide in you and they're
Yes.
going to hide things better. So that's a
Yes.
recipe for disaster.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
I'm less likely to come tell you if something's going on or if something's
Mhm.
wrong than if I'm just going to go and do the thing
Yes.
and hide it from you.
Now, all of this being said, I honestly believe the more I learn about people and
Hmm.
human behavior, the whole spectrum, structure and immediacy are what kids need.
Hmm.
The reason that I think we don't give that to them, we are tired, we're overstimulated, we're distracted. It is hard work. It is much harder than fear. Fear's easy.
Hmm.
Fear's I'm going to take your door off the hinges. Fear is you're never going to drive again. I'm taking your keys right now. Fear in all of its forms, whether it's physical or not, is a shortcut.
Hmm.
It takes a little bit more energy to put your phone down and have a conversation with your kid.
Yep.
I'd rather yell while I'm scrolling Instagram and just like solve the problem, you know?
Hmm.
So I think we as parents, before we just say kids need to get smacked around, I think we need to be honest with ourselves about how intentional and present we are.
Yes.
I think that's very important.
Yes. Well, you and I have taught many times
Mm.
in the parenting classes the child-centered parenting and parent-centered parenting.
Oh, yes.
And it's a spectrum,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? So, like on the parent-centered parenting, there are times where parent-centered parenting is more appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
right? If my kid runs across the street and I yell at them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I yell, don't do that thing or, whatever. Then I explain to them why I yelled,
Totally.
right? But we want to err on the side of child-centered parenting,
Yes.
right? It doesn't mean that I'm catering to every single
No,
need that they have. That doesn't mean that. What it means is I'm not responding out of my own anger and I'm
that's right.
responding based on what they need in that moment. So if they need more structure, they're gonna get more structure and I'm gonna
Yes.
be more stern and assertive,
Yes.
right? If that's what I'm seeing that they need, but I'm not going to do it based on my own irritation. Obviously, we're going to do that no matter what because we're human beings, but the goal is to be aware of it and mindful.
Absolutely. And it makes a difference so much quicker than you think. We have someone in our life who's been working really, really hard to be the best dad possible. And I
Hmm.
got to tell you, I mean, this is like a top five person to me. And I am so incredibly proud of this person. And
Hmm.
one of the things that they've shared with us is it's just it's just time. Like it
Hmm.
literally like the thing that made the difference for a kid, their currency is not money. It's
Hmm.
not stuff, it's time. They want your time and
Hmm.
they want your presence.
Hmm.
That's all a kid wants. They like light up when they get that attention.
Hmm.
It means the world to them.
Yep.
And I goof this up all the time. I'm busy, I'm going 100 miles an hour. But I was sharing with you today, I took my kid all the way downtown. You know, I don't do downtown, the parking downtown.
Downtown Springs or Denver?
Springs. Oh, Denver's a whole nother. I'm not taking
I
my
was
new
like,
car downtown
you came
Denver.
to Denver? That's insane.
I don't know which way to turn up the streets in Denver.
Oh,
I'm gonna get
same. I
another
don't
accident.
either.
I'm
And
not
I
doing.
lived here.
No, I went downtown the Springs, but it's nuts in downtown Colorado Springs because
Yep.
people just walk wherever and it's just a little bit nuts. Well,
Yep.
I took him down to this toy store because this kid, his behavior has been outstanding this week.
Hmm.
He has had some moments that have just made me so proud as a mom. And
Hmm.
I wanted to go look. He's been looking so hard for this thing. He earned money,
Oh.
poop and poop in the backyard and doing all these chores, right? To earn money. And he saved his money and he wanted little army men and he can't find the right little army men anywhere. And this
Hmm.
store was a lead. So I drove him 30 minutes just to see if they might have them at this store, the right ones. And he
Aw.
brought his little army men to see if they were the right size. I mean, it was adorable.
Love that.
He told me the whole way down there, like, Mom, thank you so much for taking me to the store. I'm so excited. And he was just smiling ear to ear.
Aw.
I have so much work to do. I didn't need to do that in the middle of today. But
Mm-hmm.
what it did for my heart and what it did for his heart was amazing because I don't always do this right. His daddy's better at this than I am,
Yeah.
being present. And so when I am present with my child, then I get to introduce structure in a way that they respect.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of fear, they do it out of gratitude and understanding and an awareness that you're the boss, not because you've scared them, but because you've invested in them,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm. That was sweet of you to do.
Oh, it was really fun.
Was
And you know
that the
what?
errand you ran in the middle of the day when
That was the errand.
you were texting me about recording?
100%. That was where I went. I was like, okay, I'm going to take him on an errand.
It worked out because we
It
finished
worked
my
out.
front room.
There you go. You got your stuff done. I got my stuff done.
Yes.
But I make that mistake a lot because I'm busy like all of you are. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not, I don't share this like I'm such a great mom. I actually made the choice today that I don't always make. And I got to see the impact and it's like, oh, I just
Yeah.
need to do this. This is the right thing to do more often, right?
Yeah.
So then people are like, well, that's not science. That's just, everybody's a snowflake and everybody's a helicopter parent, blah, blah, blah. So I'm bringing receipts, people.
I like receipts.
First of all, there's a million articles on this. This is not hard to research, but I
No.
decided to pick a meta-analysis. And for
Love
those of
it.
you who don't read research for fun, like I do sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes,
Yeah.
I found one from 2021. It was in the Lancet Journal, which is one of the world's top medical journals.
Okay.
Okay. And a meta analysis takes a whole bunch of studies together to see if we're getting a consistent finding.
Mm.
Spoiler alert, there's a consistent finding. Okay.
Weird.
Weird. The name of the article is Physical Punishment and Child Outcomes.
Okay.
Okay. Simple. So there were 6 studies. And every study had samples, randomized samples that they studied over time.
Okay.
I have a list of the authors, but we'll post it, whatever. I already gave you the title, 2021, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Here's what they found. In 4 out of the 6 samples, physical punishment straight up increased behavioral issues. And
Hmm.
it was significant. It was statistically significant increase in
Dang.
behavioral issues. So there's that.
Yep.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, right? Fifth sample, one found physical punishment increased behavior issues. The other one was
Mm.
mixed outcome, but it wasn't like pro physical discipline. It
Yeah.
just didn't show quite as clear of a finding, which can happen for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
Also, in that same article, there was pretty significant evidence that physical punishment decreases cognitive performance across domains. So that means at home and at school. I made ADHD symptoms worse,
Mm.
and on and on. You
Mm.
know, we know this. And I've read articles that it affects sleep, it affects attachment later on in life, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So, literally, statistically, this is not the way to do it.
Right.
Physically disciplining your child is not the way to do it. I'm just telling you.
No.
And this isn't to make you feel ashamed, but I really do want you to sit with this information
Yeah.
today. Truly.
Yeah.
Here was Garrett's question, Nat, and I want to know what you think.
I'm excited.
So, what is the alternative if nothing is working? What if you're like,
Mm.
I'm modeling things, I'm investing, I'm saying nice things, and their behavior is still wild? What
Mm.
do we do?
That's such a good question because I have no clue yet.
Like, girl, I'm gonna find out.
I know. I'm terrified for those moments. I have to tell you this. It wasn't a Dave and Buster's. It was like it was Boondocks.
I was gonna say Dave and Buster's, that's adults behaving badly.
Oh, I know. No, we're at Boondocks and it was all of us. And this was back when none of us were pregnant and there was just my niece.
Oh,
And so we're all at Boondocks and, kind of not catering totally to Rory, but like, it's like we're there to have fun with her,
oh yeah.
we're standing in like the game area.
Mm-hmm.
This little girl, I can't, like, I don't know how old she was. She had to have been like 4. Like,
Uh-huh.
age where you like kind of know what's right and wrong and like how
That's
you
the
should
other
act.
funny thing before being a parent. You never know how old kids are. And then once you have
Ever.
a kid, you're like, I know exactly how old that kid is.
I know. She was littler than Rory, I think, but not by much.
Mm-hmm.
And man, this girl, I mean, like, here's the
Oh.
thing. She was throwing a massive fit, just like
Mm.
throwing this fit. And her mom was like doing everything to try to appease her, try to make her happy. And here's my thing with that.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't I don't believe in corporal punishment in the way of like spanking. I just don't think it works.
It doesn't work.
However,
Mm-hmm.
you throw a fit like that and both of our asses are out and we are leaving and going home.
Oh, we're going home. This is the thing though. One of the best things I've heard, okay, and this came from a trauma training that I'm going to talk about in a minute, but
Mhm.
one of the best ways to approach this with your kid is to say, your behavior is showing me that you can't handle everything we have going on. So either there's too many screens. This worked with Mac. I tell Mac, you've had too many screens. Your behavior's
Mhm.
not okay. We got to do less screens. Oh my God, that doesn't change in 5 seconds.
Mhm.
Or let's say your teenager has 8,000 activities going on and they're giving you the business. We got to make your world a little smaller. I'm taking 5 things off the calendar next week. You can pick them. Pick which 5. You
Yeah.
need some home time because your behavior is showing me
Yeah.
you can't handle what you're doing right now. You're
Yeah.
tired, you're
Yeah.
whatever, overstimulated. I'm going to take you home. And you can't make empty promises, empty threats.
This kind of goes with what I was saying earlier about like the consequence matching the offense, if you will,
Yes.
right? It's like if you're quote unquote abusing screen time or
Oh,
you
yeah.
throw a fit because we're done with screen time, that tells me that we can't have as much screen time,
Oh, 100%.
right? Like
Yes.
offense, consequence.
Exactly. In
Don't-
equal measure. And I don't have to raise my voice. It's like, ooh, this is an observation. It's no different than therapy.
Yes.
I wonder if you just played video games for an hour and now you're mouthing off and your cheeks are red. I'm thinking maybe less screen time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I took my nieces shopping around Christmas time and I love them so much. They're horrible to each other sometimes. And they also have each other's backs. Like they're your normal sisters,
Mhm.
right? They're gonna whatever. So we go in and I already know this is gonna go one of two ways. And I've never taken them clothes shopping before, ever before
Oh
this.
my gosh.
I like get them things, but I've never taken them. Okay. And we're
Fair.
going to like, I thought this was going to be like a middle range expensive place, like just nice, not Target, but not like anything major. Well, I took
Okay.
them to Altered State, which is so cute. The clothes are so, so, so cute. It's not cheap.
No.
It's not cheap. So I go in there with my little nuggets, right? And I tell them literally before we open the door, because they're like excited, right? Because Auntie's taking them shopping and Christmas and all the things. And I said, if you guys are not kind to each other, I'm gonna buy myself something pretty and we're going home.
Yes.
And they were like, okay. We went in, we had a ball. They were bringing each other clothes. They were really sweet. The oldest one, who can be pretty intense, she was like,
She can be.
I know, she's great. She's just a strong woman,
Mm-hmm.
strong little woman. She literally told me at one point her sister tried something on and she said, you should really get that for her because she looks so beautiful, and said it within earshot of sister.
Aw.
They were delightful. And I didn't freak out and buy them everything either. I we
No.
had a goal. I didn't know what sizes they were wearing. So we were like, this will be a really fun test. Like we'll just go try on cute things. I didn't send them home with one single thing. I was shopping for Christmas, so to see what would work. But it was such a fun day. And
Mm-hmm.
we were checking out and I sent them away because I got a couple of Christmas things and I didn't want them to know what I was getting.
Right.
So I sent them into another room and I said, if I see one of your faces on this side of the store, I'm just going to return it all and I won't come back.
That's hilarious.
They didn't come back in.
Mm-hmm.
They know that I mean what I say and I will
Mm-hmm.
keep every threat and or promise I make to them both ways.
Well, and that's part of it is you have to set the boundary and communicate the
Have to.
boundary. And then if they don't respect the boundary, we got to stick to it.
Absolutely. That's just what we've got to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we got to do. So, I wanted to recommend a couple of things to our listeners, and I know you've heard of these resources too.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing is working, first of all, you might need some help. You may need some help. They may need a little therapy. You may need a little
Yeah.
bit of support yourself. There's wonderful people doing parenting coaching, but also there's parenting groups, there's resources everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to give a few that I've heard of, and maybe you have some other ones, Nat. But we have built a curriculum where we work. I built it initially, and then Davina's added some great stuff. But it's Whole Brain Child and No Drama Discipline by Daniel Siegel.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. His work on the nervous system is really good and accurate. You cannot parent a child when everyone's upset. It's the stupidest time to explain
Mm-hmm.
something. We got to cool everybody's jets and
Mm-hmm.
then we can talk.
Well, and think of it as like those of you guys who are listening and you're like, oh, these therapists, whatever. Think of it in yourself.
Mm.
When you're being yelled at
Oh,
and you're mad, do
yep.
you hear any of it? No.
Absolutely not. I mean, you're literally, this is what I want to tell our listeners. This isn't some like new agey woo woo, whatever. Literal science. Your brain's on fire. You cannot think. Your prefrontal cortex is not firing. We go into the back of our brain and down into our brainstem, and we are not doing any good thinking. None
Correct.
whatsoever. This is the brain. I just have to say this because I'm so tired of people thinking taking care of our children in a way that honors them as people is
Hmm.
soft. I don't accept that.
No.
You and I are very kind. We also kick asses for a living. And the
Hmm.
truth is, we treat everyone like a person, including little people.
Yes.
And I don't want to see parents not treating their kids like little people because little people who are not treated like they're important and valuable grow up
Hmm.
to be adults who don't feel important and valuable, who teach their children that they're not important or valuable.
I wasn't saying treat them that way. I was at church the other day, or well, 2 weeks ago,
Hmm.
and I'm walking in the side door, and this little boy, gosh, probably couldn't have been more than like three, maybe.
Mm,
Little boy. And his dad is down. I'm sorry, I don't know their names, so it's like, I'm not gonna say what church I go to, so whatever.
yeah,
But this dad's standing outside. He's like down the sidewalk a little bit, and the boy's like kind of right in front of the door. And
yeah,
he's yelling at his kid to come to him,
yeah,
like
no,
yelling. And I'm
mm,
like, if I'm that 3-year-old boy, I'm not coming to you.
absolutely not because you
You're
look so
yelling at
confused.
me. You're
Yeah, no,
scary.
so
Like,
scary.
no. And I'm
Mm-mm.
just, and me, of course I didn't say anything because not my place.
No, we're a church. We're not.
But I wanted to be like,
Hmm.
hey, that's not effective. He's clearly not coming to you.
Yeah,
Stop yelling. Just
it's
say,
not this
hey.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, you just say, hey, son, whatever your name is,
Yes.
can you please come here? We want to go home.
Mm,
And if it doesn't work, maybe you gently walk over, grab
mm.
their hand, pick them up,
Oh,
whatever.
absolutely.
You don't yell. It's
Oh
not
my God.
working.
I ran into this woman one time and she was like dragging her child by the arm in the
Oh,
middle
man.
I wasn't Walmart. I think it was Target. And I walked over and I was like, absolutely not. I was thinking to myself, I'm going to get punched. That was really my thought. And this was when I was younger. I would handle it differently now. I probably would intervene in a different way. But
Hmm.
I was just so incensed that this was happening. Now I know our kids sometimes act a fool in public and it's very stressful,
Yes.
embarrassing, all the things. But again, everybody just needs to regulate. So Daniel Siegel is the best. Whole Brain Child, No Drama Discipline. His
Hmm.
stuff is really great. Now, if you have a kiddo who's had a lot of trauma, so let's say they've experienced something traumatic, maybe you adopted them, maybe, there are things that have happened in their lives that they're struggling to
Hmm.
cope with. I went to a training years ago, and there's a book, Beyond Consequences, Logic, and Control, and it's Heather T. Forbes.
Hmm.
She's amazing. It was an amazing training. She's an amazing person. She adopted two children. I don't want to butcher where they're from. I want to say it was from Russia or Romania,
Okay.
Eastern European, I think. And her kids just had a lot of trauma, lots of trauma. If you work in foster care or if you have, foster kiddos in your home, they need a slightly different approach because their brains are even more on fire.
Hmm.
And so you have to calm things down a little bit. And that book gives some great strategies.
Hmm.
And then there's also some really interesting curriculums. Our court ordered folks sometimes will do caring dads or something like that. I don't love all of those. That's why
Yeah.
I didn't write my own. I adapted one from Siegel's work
Yeah.
because I thought it was a little bit less stigma,
Yeah.
especially because we have a lot of fathers. And a lot of the fathers that we work with have limited time with their children and they
Hmm.
don't really know what to do with that and how to rebuild relationships. And so,
Right.
we try to pick things that are kind of humane and encouraging.
Yeah.
Can you think of other resources that are good that maybe I didn't list?
No, I was listing the ones you were you were
Mhm.
saying, putting it on my Amazon list literally as we speak.
Are you see? Oh, they're so
Oh
good.
yeah, no, I literally no drama.
I might have them for you. You
Well,
can
take a
borrow
look.
mine.
Yeah, take a look.
They're so good.
I was literally like getting on Amazon to add these to my list. So if you have them, I would love to read them. But no, I mean, I think honestly, if you're having a hard time, go see a therapist.
Hmm.
Read one of the books that you mentioned. I don't have a lot of curriculum to recommend because this is my first child and I'm in my mid 30s.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have a ton. I used, as you know, when I did parenting classes, the caring dad stuff, which, like you said, I don't love, but they do have some good tools.
They do.
I don't love it because it's a little stigmatizing to dads.
Hmm.
And I don't think every dad is like that,
No.
obviously.
No.
But yeah, I think, if you are having a hard time, reach out to someone, reach out to some professionals,
Hmm.
join like a support group.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've had so many conversations with parents who are having a hard time, who have a hard time figuring out how to discipline kiddos who maybe have harder times behaving or whatever.
Hmm.
Seek some professional help.
Yeah, there's no shame in that. Nat and I may do some workshops in the future.
Yeah.
Uh, we have one bringing home baby that we're going to be able to teach soon,
Hmm.
but really just get some support.
Hmm.
And I hope this conversation makes you think.
Hmm.
Feel free to send us questions, whatever.
Yeah.
We have resources. We know some of the best play therapists in the state, truly. We
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no,
And
for
I'm
sure.
so proud to know them. And I love the work that they do.
Yeah.
And they have different philosophies.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think about what we've said and what you're needing.
My biggest ask, though, of our listeners is don't come at us and be like, oh, you guys are some of these gentle parenting people. Don't
Okay.
come at us that way.
If you do that, I'm going to know exactly how your parents were. So thanks for
Yes.
that.
Yes. And here's the thing, it's not about being gentle or not gentle. I mean, obviously,
Oh.
being kind gets us a lot further in life in general. So why wouldn't it also get us a little bit further with our kids? And here's the thing, it is their job to push the boundaries, and it is our job to enforce the boundaries in a direct, kind, assertive way.
Yes, and if you don't want to be kind to your child, that says more about you than your child, and I would suggest you go talk to somebody about that immediately.
Yes, yes,
Go get yourself sorted out, okay?
yes. It's
So
not
if
a,
you feel like you want to fight with us about this one, just take a long pause
and figure
and
out
a long
why.
hard look in the mirror and figure out why.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes,
Soapbox over. I have strong, I
I
have
know.
strong opinions. And the reason I have strong opinions is not because of what the men say or women say in our domestic violence groups. It's because of the wounded adults
Yes.
that we work with who are saying these things because of
Yeah.
things they've experienced. That's why we're passionate,
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Well, friends, thanks for joining us and stay tuned for Friday's episode because it's going to be a doozy and there's definitely going to be some of these themes that we're going to be
It'll
discussing.
it'll potentially be a two-parter, y'all. So
Might
stay
be a two-parter. We're going to find out in a minute when we record it.
tuned.
So thanks for joining, guys, as always.
Bye, forensic friends.
I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.